When the old people told the story, they said the first line of our creation story is that Awa, the Creator, is the source of all knowledge and power in the universe. We're in White Shield, North Dakota. My name is Jasper Young Bear. I'm a member of the Mandan Hedads on Arikara Nation. And sometimes I teach. So today I'll play the part of a teacher. There's 4 stages to the creation. The first one is the first lightning storm that created Awahkusu, the universe. The second lightning storm fills it full of power, personality, and motion. The third level is the first council of the stars, overseen by the morning star and the evening star. The fourth level is what we're supposed to learn on the earth, and that is overseen by the star called Sagakatidna Wadiji, the black star that's here and there. The first lightning storm created Awahkusu, the universe, created the tree of life, created the 11 dimensions, and all of the foundational aspects of our reality was created in those 11 dimensions. And as we move more and we begin to move our minds towards the second stage of creation, we begin to think about how the universe was at the end of the first stage. At the end of the first stage, when the Big Bang took place and space and time exploded, it was super hot, and in between these stages there was billions and billions of years of cooling. The first stage was an infinitesimally small light. That light of that male aspect was really super, super small, but it was super, super hot. It wasn't made up of matter. It was made up of pure consciousness. And that consciousness has heat. Consciousness has thought. It's the building block of the universe. Sometimes when people try to understand the universe, they want to understand it through energy and matter. But the real building block of the universe is consciousness, thoughts and ideas. And those thoughts and ideas in the beginning were super hot, and clouds of consciousness began to condense according to the laws of the Creator. And there they began to come together. Big clouds began to become more and more condensed, and they began to create stars. And those stars would explode and die, and there was a bunch of kind of like chaos for billions of years. As stars were created, stars died, things went back and forth. This cloud of pure consciousness kept cooling. As they exploded and cooled, planets and places began to form. So as we move into the second stage of creation, the second lightning storm that fills it full of power, motion, and personality, at this time, everything is complete. The stars are where they're at, the moon is where they're at. This is what our old people tell us. They said, but there was no motion. So Tarawa, the Creator, he came to the earth at this time. Every time he comes here, he always comes through the dark rift in the Milky Way, the ghost road in the stars. So he came to the earth. The earth was formed, but upon the earth there was no plants, there was no animals. These plants and animals didn't exist. There was only rock, fire, wind, and water. And since there was no living beings, there was no earth the way we know it. And at that time, because he's the creator, he, she, or it is the creator. This creator created an earth lodge. He builds this earth lodge and the outline of the earth lodge, all like that. And if you know how to build earth lodges, it's made of wood, willows, grass, all that type of things that intrinsically needed wood and dirt, but there was none. But he created it. He created this structure. And so the structure is the structure of our ceremonies. We talked about the cosmic tree, and as we talk about the second stage of the lightning storm, we begin to talk about the ceremonial tree. And this body, once again, is a reflection of both the cosmic tree and the ceremonial tree. And so the outline of the earth lodge, and then the corridor that leads outside, and outside of that is a rock and a tree, and outside of that is a sacred mound of the creator. These are reflected in this body. The top of the head is the mountain of the creator, the mound that sits outside the lodge. The rock and tree are in the neck. The corridor is right here. The poles, left shoulder, left hip, right hip. The fireplace is the heart. The Isanihi, the main place, is where the sexual organs sit. And the path of knowledge is in between the feet, and where the altar sits inside that lodge is where the feet are. That's why it's an elevated platform. So the creator creates this outline, which is the outline of a man with his head facing the east. And if you know anything about an earth lodge, it's a dome-shaped, and it has a smoke hole. And the four poles are in the middle, and the fireplace is right here. So the creator in real life, during that time when there's no animals, plants, or anything, he turns himself into a white lightning bolt, and he lands at the fireplace. And that's why when you say he lives in your heart, that consciousness is a flame about big as your thumb. It can get smaller if you focus it. It can become a razor blade or a healing blade if you decide to focus it. But it's smokeless flame. He turns himself into a white lightning bolt, and he lands at the fireplace. And he said, I shall make myself like a future people. And a white lightning bolt, because it's the undifferentiated powers of the creator, pure power, pure electricity in its highest form, with all the colors in it. And so that's why it's a white lightning bolt, not any other color. And he takes 2 steps to the place where the sexual organs are. They call it the Isanihi, the main place. That's why sexuality is very holy. This main place where the organs sit, he came in a very holy manner, dressed like a man that was copying and imitating a red-headed woodpecker. And so he had a robe, a buffalo robe on, turned 5 to 6 inches out at the collar. There he was bare-chested. He had bridgecloth, leggings, moccasins. And on his back, he had guruhu, a bundle made of a whirlwind. The old Pawnee word, which is the original language of the Arikara, is storm all tied up. All the powers of the storm. The water cycle is inside the bundle. And so he's standing there. His hair is all loose, but he's got a braid, and it represents that crest that's on the head of a red-headed woodpecker. And he came that way because the creator values bravery. and values fearlessness. And so this value is represented inside of a woodpecker. And you could, for all the other birds that you could choose, why would he choose a woodpecker? He chose a woodpecker because only a woodpecker will sing in a storm. Every other bird will cover up, go in its nest, protect itself. But a woodpecker will climb out to the edge of his nest or even on the tree branch. And when the thunder comes, he'll sing in a storm. And so that's why he values the red-headed woodpecker. And that's why he came dressed that way, holding a bundle made of a whirlwind. And that is my Indian name. Nikutati Natatid. I am the one who is the red-headed woodpecker. And it goes with the creation story. And I didn't name myself. They did, he did, it did. Whatever that mystery you want to call it. He goes from that white lightning bolt, turns himself into a man dressed as a red-headed woodpecker with a bundle made of a whirlwind on his back. And he walks to the altar from there. As he walks, he creates he creates the path of knowledge. As he goes to the altar, on each side of the altar is what they call Narananu Na Chichitu. It's the garden of life. And he passes through the path of knowledge, crosses through the garden of life, and then he sits down at the altar, the Creator, just as a man imitating a red-headed woodpecker, holding a bundle made of a whirlwind. He sits down at the altar. For how long he sat there, we don't know. It could have been a split second. It could have been 1 billion years. But they say we don't know how long he sat there. And when he sat there, he played out every one of our lives. Everything that you've ever seen, everything that you ever went through, anything that you've ever done, thought, felt, he was a witness to everything. He witnessed every aspect of your life. Nothing is beyond his sight. And that's how he was always with you. You were never alone. And that comforted me at different times. He played out everything. And how long he sat there, we don't know. But when he was done playing out every one of our lives, he stomped his right foot. He stood up with the bundle, and he walked on the female side. He always does everything female first. So he went on the southwest pole, walked to the southeast pole. He took 56 steps all together to the mound of the Creator. And we used to sing a song in our ceremonies with 56 verses. Started with the waters, the mist, like when it's drizzling and it's kind of real misty, like a fog, and then a mist, and then a sprinkle. So every verse, the water got more powerful, and that's the water side, and that's the female side. And then he started making his way to the southeast pole, which is fire and growing things. So the verses start talking about algae and fungus, and then the verses start talking about the grasses, shrubs, and then trees. Then by that time, he gets to the doorway, and that's 26 steps. This is where the male verses come in, and there's 30 of them. And they say it's not because men are superior, it's because they go farther away from the house than a woman. And so he carries the bundle on his back 30 paces. He gets to the mound of the Creator up on top of the head. And there he lays the bundle down. So at this time, the stars are above, planets are above, moons are above, and the whole universe, they're up there, but they're not moving. Nothing's moving. And here, all of us human beings, we are Nachiriko, Nachichita. We're seeds of life in the ground, potentialities. There's 4 levels of the underworld, and we are at the essence of the lower levels. But yet, we're inert. We're not moving, we're not perceiving yet. But as he lays the bundle down, made of a whirlwind, he takes it off his back. He sets it down and he begins to sing. And I have a song for his song. And he begins to sing to the creation, and lightning flashes from his eyes, and the thunder is his voice. All of a sudden, the stars and the planets and all the galaxies begin to move at his behest. All of us living beings that were potentialities, spiritual potentialities, perceiving sentient beings, we're the seeds that were once inert, but as soon as he starts singing, we begin to quicken, and we begin to perceive, and we begin to hear and smell and touch and taste. Before we had bodies, we had those senses. So those are all truly spiritual senses that we have. And that's why when you start getting gifted, you can hear things no one can hear, you can see things no one can see, you can smell things no one else can smell, and you can feel things no one else can feel. Because you've transcended. You're not this body, and those senses use this body, so you'll feel it like a regular sense, but it's spiritual. And that's what makes a medicine man a medicine man. He can hear what the spirits and the powers have to say. So we begin to quicken, everything begins to move, and he picks the bundle up as everything begins to do whatever it's supposed to do, and he walks 56 steps back into the lodge. So if you think about it, there's 112 meridians in this body, 56 on the female side, 56 on the male side, which is 112. 112 doorways that we have in this body. There's 2 secret ones that I have only dreamt of. And those are 2 doorways that are outside the body. One about 2 to 3 inches above the head, and one about 4 to 5 inches above the head. But if you get to that stage, you unite with the Awa. You're totally united. You could actually unite with the Awa while you're on the earth, if you're brave enough and strong enough and have will persistence enough. A regular adult going around, just naturally going through the life cycle, being born, going through puberty, learning to read and talk and think and feel and walk and have relationships and stuff like that. A regular person will have 20, 21, 25 doorways. Kind of naturally, you'll just kind of achieve them. And then when you start having spiritual practice, you start having 30, 40, 50, 60. 60 means you're pretty advanced in your beliefs and your understanding. But when you get into 70, 80, you're in rarefied air. And then 100. You can work and push hard until 106. After 106, you can't make those doors open. They'll open if they're gonna open. And so each one of the doors is an activation of power and energy inside of your body. So you begin to access more of your intelligence, you begin to access more of your strength, you begin to access more of your perceptions, you begin to access more of anything you desire. This is the blade of God. I'll show you the blade of God. This body here has a female side, your heart side. On the right side is the male side. But right down the middle is a river. So that's why you can't know the Creator by just being female. You can't know it just by being male. You have to get both and begin to merge them in the sacred waters in the center. This aspect of being a human being and evolving this body to be able to open more doors. Once they're open, very few things can close them. And so once you activate it and you evolve, and real knowledge and power is transmitted through the doors. Somebody could pretend to be a great teacher, but they only have 25, 30 doors. They can say all the things, but the real energy and power to open somebody else's door isn't actually there. A lot of people can achieve certain levels of spirituality. They can receive knowledge, they can receive power, but very few can actually bestow it. And that's the ability to open somebody else's doors. And every one of those doors is the step he took in the ceremonial lodge and how he activated the stars and the earth itself and the creation. The Creator, he walked 56 steps out, walked 56 steps back in, but he didn't go sit down. He went to the garden of the gods. And he reached into the garden of the gods and he picked out a corn. And he took his feminine principle and he put it in the corn. And he said to her, "Go into the darkness and show them my ways." And he sent her into the darkness. And here we were, all of us, at the foundations of creation. We were activated seeds of him. And we heard a voice in the darkness. We couldn't see anything because it was dark, but we had all our senses. And we didn't know where we were at or what we were doing. The Sacred Mother came to us, sent by the Creator to teach us his way. Our first instruction that we were given was always go west. Always go west. Never turn back. If you turn back, you will suffer. Cosmologically, the east is the direction of potential. West is the direction of actualization. It is the obstacles and hardships of life. And she said, always go west. You can go north and south, but you can never turn back to the east. Always continue to go west, face the hardships of life, embrace those, transmute those. And she promised us, you will never be stopped. You may run into obstacles that may stop you for a time, but if you keep trying hard and you keep applying yourself, I will not allow you to be stopped totally. And you will always overcome your obstacles. And that was a promise given to us in the beginning. Animals and all the potentials for all the animals were in the darkness with us. Every living being that would come out of the earth as spiritual beings itself. And so we have a relationship with the animal people. The first animal that came forth, it was the mice people. The mice. And actually it wasn't a mouse. And they don't have this being here. It's like a mouse, but it has like kind of a nose, a shrew. And so as spiritual beings, that mouse starts making its way up towards the west, but going through the first stage of the underworld. And then they got done and said, "Mother, I can't go any farther." So he turns back. And then the mole steps forward. But this mole was really excited. And he didn't go only just the second level, he went to the third level, and he even stuck his head out. And when he stuck his head out, the earth wasn't ready for life. And it blinded the mole. That's why the mole's still blind. And he turned back around. He said, "Mother, I have been blinded. I have gone too far. May I always live in the ground. Will you always remember me as the one that sacrificed so that all the other spirits could come out?" And then she said, "Yes, you may always live in the ground." And so sometimes in ceremonies, you remember this. And a lot of times when we write our sacred symbols, we'll go find mole dirt. And we'll put that mole dirt out, or we'll take a big piece of leather, and we'll take mole dirt out of a jar. We'll pour it in the middle of the leather, and then we'll spread it out into a circle, and in the mole dirt, we'll draw our sacred symbols. And then we cover it with sage, and then we cover it with this buffalo skull or something else, so no one can see our sacred symbols. Then we run our ceremony. And the mole's also important because they said in the 6 generations of pain that we've been through, that the dark powers and the secret societies put upon the Indian people, they said in the end, the power of the human being will emerge creatively. Just like a mole comes out of the ground anywhere, you can't guess where it's gonna come out. The badger, he volunteers next. And he widens the hole to the top of the earth. And he sticks his head out, and he's burnt across the eyes, but he's not blinded. So that's why the badger wears a burn mark mask across his eyes. He said, "Mother, it's not quite ready yet. I too want to live in the earth so that you always remember me, that I too was brave and I stepped forward and volunteered myself." She said, "Yes, you can stay in the earth." And then the last one was the grizzly bear, the gonuch, the Pawnee say guruks. And this bear took his claws and he built a man-sized doorway. And he crawled out of the earth, and he was the first one. He stuck his hands up to the sun, and he had power of healing and power of death and killing. And those are his powers. I come from the Arikara Bear Society. People on my mom's side, we've been Bear Society people since the beginning. There's a story about one of my people, and there's relatives of these people still alive, so I don't want to use his name. But I think it was World War I or World War II, he was shot through the legs, and the Germans captured him. I think it was World War II. The Germans captured him, and he couldn't stand. And they were gonna take him. And one of our rules in warfare is never to be taken alive, but he couldn't help it because he got shot through the legs. And a bear came to him. He said, "When the sun rises, stick your hands up to the sun, and I'll be with you. And turn on your captors." So he did. He woke up that morning and he prayed and he stuck his hands up to the sun. And he turned on the 5 Germans that captured him. And he went over and picked up 3 of them and broke them over his leg with their backs. And the other 2 were scared, so he picked up one of their guns and he let them back. And then he went back home and he died of his wounds in the United States. And that was the promise of the bear. He said, "I'll help you." So this bear is fierce. It can take life, and it can heal. It's the only animal that can heal itself. It's also the medicine man of the spirit world. He teaches us how to be singular, how to walk alone, to stand strong against anything and not back down. And so that's his gifts: death, self-doctoring, healing, and how to stand lone and ferocious against anything. And so I come from the Arikara Bear Society. My people on my mom's side, we've been Bear Society people since the beginning. And it's the last medicine that dies. Every so often, our way almost dies. I am the one who is the fifth dreamer since we came out of Atlantis. This place where we emerge, it's not on this continent. It's at Atlantis. The whole human family emerged in the last dispensation at Atlantis. The bear leads us out of the earth, and all the spirits begin to emerge. And at that time, that Awa himself came to the earth, and he either comes in his own form every so often, or he comes in support of one or a small group of people that want to make changes. So at that time, the Awa began to speak upon Atlantis, and Atlantis had to be destroyed because it was wrong and it was unnatural. He said, now I shall gather the natural people of the earth, and I shall send you into the four directions. This is where he created the races. In our belief system, there's four races, and each one of them is given a color, a way of learning, and guardianship of an element. So the people that were created first was the black man, and they were given guardianship over the chief of the elements, which is the water, which is the physical way of learning. They were given the color black because water in its most purest and most powerfulest form is black. Like in a hurricane or in a tornado that blackens the sky in midday. For every gift that you give, there's a caveat, a warning. And so they have a hard time physically being comfortable in water because that's the thing that they're gifted with. So when they become out of balance with themselves, they will have an aversion to water. But every race that's gifted, it's also gifted a caveat. And so the white people were gifted the color white, guardianship of the fire, and the mental way of learning. And their caveat that they have to be careful of is becoming out of balance with their mind. But when you think about it, just as the black people were given the physical way of learning, the power of movement, physical movement, the white people were gifted with the fire. Everything that they make with their minds, they make with fire. So every plastic, glass, metal is all smelted in a fire. The blades that cut wood, they were smelted in a fire. So everything was touched by fire in the things that they create. And the reason why they're white is because when fire is in its most powerful form, it's white hot. And that's why they were made white people. And so they're very intelligent people, but they have to be careful that they don't come out of balance, take leave of their common sense, and begin to abuse their gifts or lack understanding of self. And then the yellow people, the Asian people, were gifted the element and guardianship over the wind. And they were given the emotional way of learning. Whenever they do something, they inhale, and they learn to harness air for their spiritual progression, for their spiritual development. So everything that they do, whether it be Tai Chi or any of the martial arts, and their way that they pray is through breath. And their caveat is if they become out of balance with their gift, they'll lack compassion. And then the native people, the red skin of man of North and South America, was given the color red. They were given guardianship over the earth, and they were given the spiritual way of learning. Because they were given earth, their caveat is to watch what they eat and they put in their body. They become very easily out of balance when they don't eat food from the earth, or they put any type of drug or whatever inside their body. Their spiritual vision will become clouded, and they'll become susceptible to sicknesses and things of the spiritual nature, and they can devolve. And so he did that, the Creator. He gave the sacred colors black, red, white, yellow, and then he gave the physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual way of learning. And then he gave guardianship over earth, wind, water, and fire. And he said, I shall send you into the four directions, but in a future time I shall bring you back together. And if you don't help each other and have a heart and mind for each other, one of the main reasons I wanted to speak on the creation story is this. It's to express the story. He said, when I bring you back together, if you don't have a heart and mind for each other, you shall all be destroyed. And the other reason I'm saying this is because we're a very short time away from the prophecies. One of my grandpas went to the hill, a certain hill called Thunder Butte, where the thunder beings lay their eggs. I'll take you guys there. He went up there and he prophesied through his vision that when fire shoots out of the ground, it'll be very close. We live in the Bakken, and fire shoots out of the ground because of the fracking. When fire shoots out of the ground, it will be close. And so that was one of the prophecies. All that stuff's come true. And I'll be honest with you, some of these prophecies, they're unnerving. And my grandmother's told me, your house will give off a light because of your spirituality, but it will be dark all around. And people that know who you are will try to enter into your home, but you must stop them from coming in, because whatever's inside of them will come out outwardly. And many of my people have already dreamed about it. And many of the spiritual people here have dreamed about it. And so I didn't have the heart to tell them. And some of them were kind of like, they didn't ask, so I didn't tell. But they dreamt it, and I was like, that's what your dream means. But they never asked me, so I didn't tell them. What that also means is that after that somewhat hard time, somewhat difficult time, a new time will come, and who will be left over is the Creator's people. The real evil will destroy itself from the inside out. And they say it will be mostly white people. They will eat each other. And that's an old school euphemism for destruction, spiritual destruction and physical destruction of each other, because they forgot the sacredness of their mom and dad, brother and sister. They don't hold it sacred anymore. And so that's what our people told us long ago, that they will eat each other. The Moshi's will eat each other, they said. There's tablets that were given. And these tablets, the black people were given the tablets in Mount Kenya at the Kikuyu tribe. The white people were given tablets in the Swiss Alps, all mountain people. The Native Americans were given the tablets amongst the Hopis. Tibetans were given the tablets for the Asians in the Himalayas. And we shall call these the original teachings. And what I speak of today is the original teachings. And when people don't know or disrespect the original teachings, almost the whole world would be destroyed. And this is the reason why I come out all the way with this sacred knowledge, so that people could realize we're in the time of prophecy when the Creator said we must come together as one heart, one mind, one nation of the human family, and forgive the unforgivable and move forward to heal our people, to heal all the sufferings of all the genocides and all the hardships, and realize that we're one spirit and that the universe is one thing. So that's why I tell the story, so that people could understand it. And I say it in a way that could help the future generations come together. We are the Indians are the 7th generation now, but we cannot do it alone. It will take the black man, the red man, the yellow man, and the white man to come together. And they shall create a new race of man bound together by consciousness, which is the 5th element. And so we have to come together and be bound by the consciousness of the universe and understand ourselves as one people, no longer separated. And I'm telling this because we've kept the original instructions. And we want the rest of the other races, those that aren't even aware of it, to be able to help each other and to have a heart and mind for each other, so that when that time comes, you won't destroy each other. We were mostly energy. We didn't have these bodies the way we do when we're at Atlantis. We're more like light. We think we're always like this. The human family wasn't. Mother Corn told us to go west. We came to the end of the island, which was the last part of Atlantis. The chiefs were in the front leading. And they turned to the medicine people and said, "We've come to the end of the island, what should we do?" And the old people said, "You know what to do." So they took the bundle of Atlantis, and my grandma said, they whipped the water with the Sacred Mother. And the waters opened up. Our bundles are mnemonic devices, remembering that time. A mnemonic device is something that allows you to understand a chunk of many bits of knowledge. That's how I know the story. And inside of all of our bundles is a garpike head. And so when you're talking about how could people believe this, go find our bundles, go open them up, and you'll find a garpike head in there. You'll find a corn that we got at Atlantis. When we came to the impenetrable forest, which is a jungle, we have an owl in our bundle to remind us of that. When you open the bundle, as we cross the mountains in Central America, you'll find a blue bird called a kingfisher inside of our bundles. And we came to the southern plains, we met our first buffalo, and we created 12 replicas of the Oahu bundle, which is a replica of the bundle that the Creator had. And to this day, I can give you the names of the bundle keepers of those 13 original bundles. And that's how long we kept our ways, and we never forgot Creator's original instructions. We never forgot our creation story. So when people say that's fantastic, we have them still here on this reservation, Fort Berthold Indian Reservation. We have the mnemonic devices to prove it. And the story goes with the mnemonic devices. So when people say, well, you could never have kept it, we're the only ones that did. The bundles are just like anything else. They usually have a reason why they have a certain wrapping, but no matter what the wrapping is, it represents a placenta. And then when it's tied up, it represents an umbilical cord. And that umbilical cord has length, width, and depth in it. In almost all the bundles, they have a wooden knife. People say, why do these Indians have a wooden knife inside their bundle? It's for the very reason that you are the measure of time and space as a human being. You are the center of the universe, not the bundle. The bundle is only to remind you of what that is. And so the wood of it represents the tree of life, the cosmic tree, the ceremonial tree, and the guy that carries the bundle. You are a tree of life. Your body is a tree of life. You have a male side, a female side, a center. So when you look at the wood of the knife, now you're going to be reminded of all the different parts of the tree of life. And so the wooden blade represents all the trees of life. Sometimes inside the bundle, they'll have an arrow straightener. Why would you put an arrow straightener in there? If you try to shoot an arrow that has a curve in it, it won't fly straight. So it's about correcting people's behavior. This in the bundle. And people don't like to be corrected. But if it's in the bundle and it's not in the guy saying, hey, there's an arrow straightener in there, so I can help correct your path. What is it that you need to know? So it allows the teacher and the medicine person to say, this is in the bundle to straighten your path. And you have to, at some point, have the humility to say, my path isn't that straight. And so that mnemonic device is in there so that you don't feel bad about having to get your path straightened out. That's how you look at a bundle. We emerge at Atlantis. And there, I don't know how to say this without sounding crazy. And my face is getting red, I can feel it. Another group of beings came here. And the closest thing I could say is a vampire. Vampiric beings. Demonic beings from another place that came through a stargate. Just as they're destroying the earth now, they destroyed their own planet. And they came here through a stargate trying to escape theirs. The elites of today copy them in their ceremonies. They copy them by draining everything of its spiritual power. And their most favorite thing is kids and innocence and destruction of love, because they're heartless and soulless. And they teach the elites to believe in the unnatural versus the natural. When we were at Atlantis, we were hunting them. Not every black man that's alive right now was always born a black man. And not every white man was born a white man. And not every Asian was born an Asian. And all the other reincarnations, not every Native American was born a Native American in the past life. As we go through reincarnation, we go through different levels and play different roles. And when you're ahead of your time, or you remember the long, long time ago, because we've been programmed, we think that this is the real reality. But we have a lot of ceremonies on the Northern Plains that if you went to them, you wouldn't believe it. The most powerful spiritual ceremonies I've ever seen are from the Northern Plains. It is from the Blackfoot Night Lodge. It is from the Cree Shaker Tent. It is the Lakota Yuipi. When you go there, you can never disavow the supernatural powers that the Indian people still possess. And your average American, your average Canadian, your average Mexican has never seen those types of ceremonies. I don't know any place where you can show up every weekend. I got about 5 cousins on this res that have supernatural powers. And it's common here. And it's the only place where it's common. It's normal. It's just the average American or average person that has never been to UEP, never been to a Shaker tent, never been to a night lodge, will go, wow. Or even in the sweat lodges, when people come in and watch the stars come from above, or spirit lights come in, that's just normal. When you go to our schools and you ask the little kids, did you ever see a spirit before? Or did you ever see anything that wasn't there? Or did you ever see a supernatural event? Every little kid in our schools will raise their hand because they've all been to Iwipi. They've all been to sweat lodges. They've all been to our ceremonies. This is the only place where it's normal. Long before the colonization took place, this was our normal reality. It was always like this. These people that this story comes from, I grew up on the stories and I wished that I could bring back the power of the old people. And the dark powers, when they landed on this land, start to close the doors in the tree of life. And only in the past few years have we fully opened them. And it was the Indians that opened them. It was the Indians that fought the vampires. It was the Indians that defeated the dark powers. It was the Indians that can enter into the spirit world. Every year, I've watched hundreds of Native American men hang through their flesh and their back. What would possess you to do that? Pierce you through the back, put pegs in real deep, tie ropes to you and raise you into the air off the ground. And not pull the pegs out, bust or cut you down through your own flesh. And that happens all the time here. Or to go on a hill for 4 days and 4 nights with no food and water. Average American could never understand that. Why would you do that? Why wouldn't you? That's the price you pay to know. This is our reality as Native Americans in the Northern Plains. This is what we experienced. You ask why we chop off fingers. You ask why we hang, why we fast so long, because we want to get back to the original. We're the last ones with a communal memory from a belief system older than America, older than all of their belief systems. We're talking about 150,000 years ago. And so this history is marginalized, devalued, and pigeonholed as fantastic and out of touch. And it wasn't very long ago, our people, before the 6 generations, where our religion was outlawed, where our kids were sent to boarding school, why we have all these social issues is because of the federal government, because of the churches outlawing our ways and taking our kids and raping them and beating them for generations, took away our parenting skills. And so we've never believed in their institutions, their religious institutions, their educational institutions, their spiritual institutions. We emerged through ceremony going, we must stand up. Everybody try to stand up. Everybody try to help each other. But where is turmoil? I'm not presenting the Indian people as like we need the black man's help. We need the Asians' help. We need the white people's help. But you also need to know that we're offering you transcendence. But listen to what we have to say, the unadulterated truth of our people. And even some of my people, even some of the ceremonial people, they turned on me for talking the way I talk. Mine is that from, I can leave my body. Whether somebody looks at me and says, you can't do that, and it's like, yeah, I can. I can put my head down. I can go anywhere at any time. I can do it awake or sleep because I am the source knowledge of the creation. What I really want to do is get people to act for themselves, act from turning inward. As an individual, because this ain't a team sport, every individual must turn inward by their own choice and by their own spiritual process. And someday you might find yourself looking back on what you threw away, because I've done that before. I threw away some teachings and some thoughts that I didn't think I needed, and I thought that was not right. And I came back later and I sifted through it. It's like, hey, look at this gem I threw away. And you can only operate due to your ideology right now. If you don't become a seeker, that's why everybody's in a state of flux with money. Poverty traumatizes you in modern society, and those that are traumatized will never become a seeker. So it's design, the financial, monetary, all the misteachings of the injustice system, the miseducation system, the lack of spirituality systems that teach you what to believe. There must always be a direction for the mystical, the potential that something that I've never experienced, I've never seen, can enter into my life and give me a life that I could never dream of on my own. And that's what it is to seek. And honestly, I never thought it would ever take me here. I was just a kid when I started this. My grandma gave me my first pipe as a 7th or 8th grader. My pipe was my best friend, because I was always eccentric. And when I entered into the ceremonies as a senior, fasting, I began to eat peyote at 15. I began to sun dance and fast at 17, 18, and then I just came straight through to here. I never thought it would take me all over the world. I never thought I would have friends like you guys. I never thought, and I was just a pitiful kid, and I just stick a gun in my mouth because I didn't think life was worthy. I didn't think I was good enough. I didn't think I was good looking enough. I knew I wasn't rich, you know, and I was pitiful. But if you turn inward, you will find transcendence and opportunities and new doors, and new people will enter into your life. And so all it is do your best. Don't give up. When you think you're traumatized, seek again. Whenever you think you've hit a wall, seek again. Whenever you be relentless in your seeking, don't let nothing stop you. Don't let things stop you from seeking inwardly. And every human being must turn inside themselves. This is my most sacred thing that I could share with you guys. And there's 2 more parts to the creation story. Take what you can use from this and leave the rest.